Tonight on CFTK-TV News, we have a report on how to stay safe in end-of-year driving conditions. A violent attack occurred in Vancouver and resulted in a death, and a man had what seemed to be quite an unpleasant experience at the Vancouver General Hospital.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Good evening, I'm Cal Baslett, and here's what's making the news in the Northwest and beyond for the day. In the darkest month of the year, and with the typical fluctuations in the weather, road safety is a big topic here in the Northwest, where the area has one of the higher crash per population percentages. Here's CFTK-TV's Damian Smith with more on what can be done to protect yourself.
After a week full of snow here in the Northwest, the rain has come back in full force, and it looks like it may stay like that for the next while. And this weather is especially relevant due to the driving conditions, where those on the road are considered to be in the danger zone when talking about road conditions due to the weather fluctuating between -5 and +5 degrees.
The northern part of the province, Highway 16, Smithers Terrace, Kitimat, that combination of being fairly close to the ocean, so you're in that real rainy zone, and then as you get farther inland, of course, the temperatures start to drop. So it stands to reason that that driving conditions in that area are going to be hazardous during the month of December and really throughout the entire winter season.
And comparing British Columbia to other provinces, the mountains play a big role in the province's ranging climate. And most other provinces will have long and consistent portions of the year where temperatures and conditions will stay relatively even-keeled, but that's not the case here.
You can go on a trip where you might be in the lower mainland, starting in the lower mainland, and then head out over some mountain passes where you're going to be into completely different conditions. So I think what's unique about BC and what we all have to be prepared for is that variability and really be ready for anything.
And despite making up 4% of the population in British Columbia, 6.3% of the province's crashes happen in the northern portion of the province, according to the Insurance Corporation of British Columbia. And according to Acres, that is not a coincidence.
It's the start of the winter driving season in many parts of the province. It is also the month in which we have the fewest daylight hours. So it's the darkest month, and that can lead to a number of crashes.
And now with Christmas only 20 days away, the holiday spirit is going to be here for the next couple of weeks, and many gatherings will be taking place here in the Northwest, so safety is of the essence.
Everybody's in a hurry to get to holiday events, to children's holiday activities, to shopping. There's a lot going on at this time of the year, so don't cut corners on road safety. Give yourself lots of time to get where you're going, because I think it's really important at this time of the year, rather than think about getting somewhere as quickly as you can, getting somewhere safely should really be top of mind.
From CFTK-TV in Terrace, I'm Damian Smith.
Further details have now been released on a motor vehicle incident that happened not too far from Cedarvale yesterday. Police say at 4:37 p.m. on December 4th, the New Hazelton RCMP were notified of a collision on Highway 16. Police attended and located a Chevrolet Traverse and Western Star tanker that were involved in a collision. Sadly, the driver of the Chevrolet was deceased at the scene, but the driver of the semi was reportedly uninjured. The semi-truck was westbound on the highway when the Chevrolet crossed the center line and struck the semi. The investigation is ongoing, and there are no further details at this time. Two victims of a shocking violent attack ended up in the hospital with serious injuries, and the suspect in the case is dead after being shot by the Vancouver police. Several bystanders witnessed the traumatic incident as it unfolded at a 7-Eleven at Robson and Hamilton in downtown Vancouver. Over to CTV's Ben Milger with more.
Move over! Hang up! Move over!
This is the moment police shot and killed a suspect alleged to have stabbed a person inside this 7-Eleven. Another person was hurt. According to police, this all started moments earlier when the man allegedly stole a bottle of liquor from the restaurant across the street. Witnesses say he was armed with a knife, acting erratically on the sidewalk before entering the store and threatening employees.
They just said, you can take whatever you want, but he didn't listen. He tries to stab that lady inside and him. Then police came and police tried to stop him. He didn't listen, so they shot it and I don't know whatever happened after that.
One of the victims was stabbed. Police could not say what type of injuries the second victim suffered. BC Emergency Health Services says it treated the suspect and both victims. All three were rushed to hospital with critical injuries. The suspect was later pronounced dead.
We were able to stop the threat to the public. It's unfortunate that 2 people were injured and that a man was shot by our officers, but because of our immediate response, we were able to stop that threat to the public.
As with all police-involved shootings in the province, the Independent Investigations Office will look into the actions of officers to see if the force was justified. They'll be looking to speak with a number of witnesses who can describe what they saw when it comes to the actions of the suspect and the police response.
He got angry and he just went to stab that lady, and all of a sudden everything happened. Police came and police shot this guy.
Coming up next, BC Ferries is facing backlash over cutting their advisory committee. Welcome back. BC Ferries is facing mounting pressure to reverse course on its decision to axe its long-standing advisory committees. The volunteers had represented the concerns of coastal communities, and as CTV's Rob Buffum reports, BC Ferries says it will replace them with a yet-to-be-designed new engagement system.
BC Ferries is navigating more choppy water, facing growing pressure to reverse course on its decision to eliminate advisory committees. Groups of volunteers representing concerns of 13 coastal regions it serves.
Thank you for your service. We've really appreciated it. You brought value, but you're fired.
The advisory committees have existed for decades. BC Ferries said last week they were being replaced with a largely digital system.
To make sure that BC Ferries can hear directly from all of these people who have feedback for us.
The transportation critic is pushing for a meeting with the head of BC Ferries and wants the company to change its mind.
The first choice of action was to get rid of the volunteers. Maybe start looking in-house first before you start putting the blame on the volunteers.
News of the move to lose the committees not at a great public relations time for the company, right around when it warned rates could soar by 30% in 2028. The company today issued a statement defending its decision, saying the shift to digital reflected what communities and stakeholders told them, that they want a more inclusive direct process for feedback. Not what we heard in the ferry lineup.
They fired the wrong people. You got to start with the extra costs that we have of the CEOs, etc., presidents.
I would prefer it to be in person.
I don't feel as though the digital system will work as well. You want to have a human input into things.
The committees are scheduled to be scrapped by this spring. BC Ferries says a new system to lodge concerns and complaints will be in place by then. Some of those complaints won't be hard to guess. Robert Buffum, CTV News, Swartz Bay.
The families of 3 university volleyball players from the Thompsons River University in Kamloops are outraged as the driver who hit the players' car will not face criminal charges. One of the young men died and 2 others suffered life-altering injuries. CTV's Shannon Patterson has that story.
With the help of leg braces and arm crutches, 22-year-old Riley Brennan is learning to walk again.
This year, he's not taking any classes. He's just focusing on his physical health right now.
A year ago, Brennan and 2 of his varsity volleyball teammates from Thompson Rivers University in Kamloops were hit by an out-of-control driver.
The person responsible for the accident hit the group of cars from behind and landed on top of the Volkswagen Jetta that our boys were in.
Riley Brennan was left with a spinal cord injury. Owen Waterhouse has a traumatic brain injury, and Owen McInnes did not survive. The young men's families were told police recommended criminal charges against the 29-year-old truck driver, but last week they learned Crown is only pursuing a Motor Vehicle Act charge of driving without due care and detention.
The ordinary sentence is going to be a fine of up to $2,000. There can be a driving prohibition imposed by the court, and jail time is available, but there's maybe one case that I can think of in the last 20 years where jail time has been imposed.
We were shocked, horrified, disgusted, like every range of emotion.
The families don't understand how the threshold for criminal charges, whether the driving constituted a marked departure from the reasonable standard, wasn't met.
The fellow responsible was driving pretty much out of control, over the speed limit, up on the sidewalk, across the curb, took out trees along the boulevard before smashing into the vehicles.
They've started a letter writing campaign to try to have the case re-examined.
Ultimate goal is to have the file reviewed, charges upgraded, and to have this gentleman suffer the consequences of his action.
Riley Brennan and Owen Waterhouse were both told they may never walk again. Their remarkable recovery has far surpassed doctors' expectations, but their injuries will forever alter their lives.
What maybe he wanted to do before the accident is no longer possible now. He's got to find a different way on his journey now.
Shannon Patterson, CTV News.
A 70-year-old Vancouver man is speaking out on what he describes as a nightmare stay at the Vancouver General Hospital. As CTV's Kevin Chirac reports, he spent nearly 3 days recovering from a surgery in the hallway.
Mike Mangan is still reeling from undergoing emergency gallbladder surgery at Vancouver General Hospital.
Terrific. I have no complaint about the doctors.
The surgery went smooth, but the in-hospital recovery, he says, far from it.
It was like some form of torture.
He says he spent nearly 60 hours post-surgery in a hospital hallway.
Constant noise, lights going on and off. I had no call bell. My curtains kept getting brushed, so people walking past looked at me.
This is audio recording Mangan says he took during his hospital hallway stay.
I almost had no sleep. There was always, if I fell asleep, an alarm went off.
And he claims he voiced his discomfort and pleaded several times to move, not getting the response he expected.
I thought it was terrible. The nurses did the bare minimum.
After more than 2 days in the hall, Mangan was moved to a quieter area. Vancouver Coastal Health wouldn't get into specifics on Mangan's case, but says the hospital's extra busy during respiratory illness season, adding, VCH has established systems in place to manage patient volumes, including local and regional surge plan protocols, which help maximize healthcare capacity based on patient acuity. Recently appointed BC Minister of Health Josie Osborne also providing a statement saying, "This has been an extremely difficult experience for both this patient and his family. I encourage patients and family members to bring their concerns forward to the Patient Care Quality Office so they can help identify how the healthcare system can be improved. Our government is working to strengthen healthcare, and I am focused on that every single day." Meanwhile, Mangan says he's sharing his story and hopes the hospital makes major improvements to patient care.
I've been in hospital a number of times. I even worked there as an orderly as an undergrad student. But I've never encountered anything like this. Never.
Kevin Chirac, CTV News, Vancouver.
Turning to tonight's weather, the North Coast will see a chance of showers plus a low at 9 degrees. The Terrace-Kitimat area should be home to periods of rain with their low sitting at 4 degrees. And the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District is forecast to receive a chance of rain or flurries with their low dropping to -3 degrees. On the North Coast, the upcoming week might get some sun in the middle of it, while getting just clouds and rain other than that, as the high bounces between 8 and 6 degrees. In the Terrace-Kitimat area, the week for them will also see one mixed sun and cloudy day to go along with rain and also some snow too, as the high moves from 5 to -1 degree. And in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, the next week or so will see 2 mixed cloud and sun days, while the rest of the time will deal with rain and snow as the high shifts between 3 and -3 degrees. Checking out the highways now, visit Drive BC for the latest and up-to-date conditions, and as always, drive safe out there. On Highway 16, there is slippery sections, utility work, construction work, and the Usk Ferry has been shut down for the season with the cable car now in effect. Highway 118 has some slippery sections too. Highway 37 has some compact snow, slippery sections, and a Kitwanga Lake rest area is closed due to flooding. Highway 37A has compact snow. There is some slippery sections on the Nishka Highway, and the Telegraph Creek Road has slippery sections as well. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the view of the province's highway cams. Still to come, a recent decision from Air Canada is not good news for budget travelers. Welcome back. There is bad news for budget travelers as Air Canada will soon stop offering free carry-on luggage to customers with low ticket fares to certain destinations. As CTV's Adrian Gobrail explains, the airline has tried this before and faced major pushback.
There's an old traveler's cliche, pack your patience, and those here at Toronto's International Airport tell me they've lost theirs with Air Canada. The airline announcing that as of January 3rd, passengers traveling in North America or to a sunny southern destination who opt for a basic fare ticket will have to pay to check their carry-on duffel bag or large backpack. And if you want to switch your assigned seat before takeoff, prepare to get dinged for that as well. The move has prompted the Transportation Minister to call a meeting with Canada's airline CEOs this month to discuss the new fees. In a post on X, the minister wrote, "I was just made aware of a decision by Air Canada to introduce new carry-on baggage fees. I am extremely concerned. Canadians work hard and save up to travel. They rightly expect excellent service, not extra fees." Air traveler rights activists say today's announcement is par for the course.
With a carry-on, whether the carry-on is in the belly of the airplane or in the cabin, it makes no difference. It doesn't consume more fuel. So essentially, they are trying to monetize now every possible aspect of your travel experience and say, well, we are going to use that space for people who are willing to bid more, pay more. But let's face it, most people will be traveling with a carry-on of some size.
For those purchasing a more expensive comfort fare ticket, Air Canada says it will be increasing the number of included checked bags from 1 to 2. We reached out to Air Canada today requesting an interview. They declined, saying in part that the moves announced are in step with other Canadian airlines. Adrian Gobrail, CTV News, Toronto.
While some shell out jaw-dropping sums of money for Taylor Swift tickets, some politicians were offered the coveted tickets for free. Pavco, the Crown Corporation that runs BC Place, is defending the practice, and so is the one federal cabinet minister who's enjoying the perk this weekend. CTV's Abigail Turner reports on the pushback that they're getting.
You could compare getting Taylor Swift tickets to winning the lottery. Welcome to the Eras Tour! The coveted concert has Swifties paying hundreds, even thousands, for a chance to see the Eras Tour. But for Federal Minister Harjit Sajjan, his way into BC Place was covered by taxpayers.
I can't believe I actually have to say this, but if politicians want to take their kids to a Taylor Swift concert, they should be paying out of pocket.
Pavco, the company that operates BC Place, is a Crown Corporation. It says it offered 120 tickets to stakeholders, business partners, First Nations, and politicians in exchange for a donation to the Vancouver Food Bank.
Here's the thing though, this is actually what it is about. It's actually raising money for the food bank, something that I do every single year. And I remind everybody of my family and my daughter and my family. We already had 4 tickets before, which we didn't end up going to in Toronto, and we sold those at cost.
Sajjan donated $1,500 to the Vancouver Food Bank in return for the tickets. The Crown Corp calls the ticket handout a normal course of business and plans to continue the practice.
We need a total overhaul of the procedures at BC Pavco if they are handing out tickets to VIPs and politicians, leaving taxpayers with the bill. This is incredibly inappropriate and unacceptable.
Meanwhile, other politicians turned down the perk, including Mayor Ken Sim and Premier David Eby. Sajjan says he was given approval by the Ethics Commissioner before he accepted the handout, still facing scrutiny on Parliament Hill for the move.
The idea that the minister would get 2 free tickets, taxpayer-funded tickets, is concerning, and it shows a lack of judgment.
Pavco would not do an interview with CTV News. Instead, in a statement, said the free tickets help promote events and make important connections for business. Pavco does have a commitment to its community benefit program, donating more than 100 tickets and 4 suites to the Taylor Swift concert to charities across BC, and in turn raising more than $1 million. Abigail Turner, CTV News, Vancouver.
And now we turn our attention to how the stock markets are looking as of today compared to yesterday. The Canadian dollar is up 15/10 of a cent. The price of gold is down $27.80. Oil is down 24 cents. Natural gas is up 4 cents. Aluminum is up $6. In Toronto, the TSX is up 38.86 points. The Venture Index is down 9.21. In New York, the Dow Jones is down 248.33, and NASDAQ is down 34.86. Still ahead, the Canucks just completed a pretty successful road trip. Welcome back. The Vancouver Canucks are returning from a tough 6-game road trip, but they did manage to pick up points in all but one game. Now, with none of their next 11 games in Vancouver, the team needs to find a way to get some wins at home. Here's CTV's St. Jean Alexander with this week's Ringside Report.
5 seconds to go in the man advantage. Hughes with a shot tipped in.
Not every game was a win, but the Canucks picked up a lot of points and are earning a reputation as road warriors.
Hell of a road trip. Could have, easily won the game, so guys should feel good about themselves.
Shoots, he scores, hat-trick.
They weren't always the best team on the ice, but found ways to win. Consider the injuries. Still no Demko. JT Miller remains out, and now Filip Hronek is on the list, likely for 8 weeks.
Yeah, I think that's the most impressive thing when you look at the fact that this team is not going through what it went a year ago. Last year they had so much health. All their top players other than Thatcher Demko played 80-plus games. This year they're not dealing with that.
And then there's the big story between the pipes.
Kevin Lankinen, 10 straight road wins out of the gate.
Those 10 wins in this young season is the longest streak in NHL history.
Score! Jake DeBrusk, and that'll be a record-setting assist for Quinn Hughes.
Not to be forgotten, the captain with a new franchise record. Few can argue the team looks sharp when away, connected, in sync, the kind of flair that's been missing at home.
Yeah, the play at home does not compare, quite frankly. When you look at them, it feels like they're trying to do too much at home structurally. They're not as sound. They're not as good in their own end. They don't track back as well with their forwards.
He also points out this was a relatively easy road trip, for the most part. Up next, a roster of better teams, the pedigree, that will test the team's home chemistry.
It's not like they're all going to get together and stay at a hotel or go out for team meals when they're at home. You just have too many family responsibilities.
Now, if the missing stars return to the ice, as they're expected to do, they may spark that home ice advantage. St. Jean Alexander, CTV News, Vancouver.
Mounties in Langley say 2 youths have been taken to a hospital for non-life-threatening injuries after being stabbed in attacks that may be connected. Police say officers responded to a call of a young person who had been stabbed. They did say they located a second youth nearby, also suffering from stab wounds, and no suspect details is known at this time. Police say that they are actively investigating the circumstances surrounding the stabbings, which they believe are linked. That is all of our news for now. From all of us here at CFTK-TV News, I'm Cale Maslin, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.